Hello, 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 hello. I'm
Hello, hello, hello.
very, very happy today because we're busting myths, and I love busting myths. Welcome to HypnoTalk. I'm Troy Parkins, and I'm with
Janna, your friendly most of the time hypnotherapist, unfriendly a little bit every once in a while if I'm not caffeinated enough, but in general, friendly hypnotherapist.
I bet most people's experience of you would be friendly.
I do my best.
And today is part 2 of our myth busting hypnosis. And I got quite a lot of feedback from our last show that people were very, very excited to hear about, these issues that they always hear about, but actually you're the expert in this, and you're myth busting it, as in like, I can't be hypnotized, or I can't da 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 da. So you're supporting people out there that never thought of hypnotherapy as a viable healing option. This is what I'm getting at in my conversations over the past week. So good on that.
Well, ask away. I'm always more than happy to help. And because hypnosis is my whole career and I'm hypnotizing people every day, I sometimes forget that it's a thing. People, I'm so into the techniques and how it works, but the actual process of hypnosis itself is still a big mystery to most people. So ask me questions and I'll clear them right up.
Awesome. So one of the things, and let's just jump right into it. We got some meaty topics here. One of the things I hear from people in this type of DIY community, right? Do it yourself. You can do everything. I can do this. People would say, well, I don't really need a hypnotherapist. I meditate myself. I can just kind of meditate myself into positive thinking and things like that. So why would I need a hypnotherapist? I could just DIY. So let me ask you this. Is self-hypnosis, DIYing it, like, safe? Is it even viable? I don't know. That's my question.
I would say yes and no, but it's very specific on what will you be doing with it. There's certain areas of your life where self-hypnosis is a wonderful tool to have. I've taught a lot of workshops on self-hypnosis, and I've taught clients one-on-one how to do their own self-hypnosis. I would say, though, that for if you are experiencing any type of fear, anxiety, depression, discomfort, pain, anything that you're wanting to change in terms of how you're feeling, whether it's physical or emotional, do not use self-hypnosis for that stuff. You will pull that stuff in deeper and you will make it worse, not better. So,
can you give me an example of that? A specific example of how could you make your mindset worse?
Well, when you are going to hypnotize yourself, you are the person giving this hypnotic suggestion to the person who's receiving the suggestion. So you're playing both roles. And when you go into that state of being, the first thing that you're going to do is open up your suggestibility, which is part of what that hypnotic process does. It opens up that barrier between conscious, logical mind and subconscious, gut feeling mind. Once that's open, it's like an open surgical field. We don't want to introduce any germs in. So if you're already freaking out, we don't want the person that's hypnotizing you, which is you, to be freaking out and taking their freak out energy and putting it into your own subconscious. Because that's making it worse.
That could be pretty dangerous. That sounds like that would amplify things.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it when I didn't know any better. And it was back in the 80s when I wanted to be able to run, and I hated running. Okay. It didn't matter how much I ran. I didn't seem to get that runner's high. I didn't seem to get better. And so I figured out how to hypnotize myself. I was really good at it. I was able to go into a very powerful state of hypnosis by myself. And I would tell myself, you're not going to feel nauseous. You're not going to feel sick. You're not going to feel nauseous. And I would imagine how nauseous I always felt running up Manhattan Beach Boulevard. And I would think, not that, not that. I don't want to feel like that. Well, what happened? The next time I ran up Manhattan Beach Boulevard, I felt about 10 times sicker. In fact, it pretty much put an end to my ability to run at all because I was having resistance to something that I didn't want. So whether it's I don't want to feel nauseous, or whether it's I don't want to feel rejected, or I don't want to feel depressed, or I don't want to feel anxious, when you're focusing on what I don't want to feel, it's going to pour energy into that subject and make it worse. So it's not something you want to do yourself. Cut to, if you do feel upset, nervous, scared, afraid, down, blue, then if someone else with a different energy field, a different perspective is doing, all your job is to relax, we can let go of that. And that different perspective can come in and put in that different energy of what's wanted. It's just really hard to do that yourself because the mood you're in, you can feel the mood someone else is in. You can feel my mood. If you're the subject that's being hypnotized, you'll know what my intentions are for you when your suggestibility is open. You will be in a very psychic state when you're hypnotized. It makes a psychic out of everybody.
I also noticed this in our conversations and my own experience sitting in your chair. The way that you use language is very purposeful, I'll say. So no different than, say, a surgeon doing surgery on someone. They know exactly what they're doing. So if I was going to do surgery on myself and do a Rambo and like cut my arm open and, sew it back up, I might not know exactly what I'm doing. Now, yeah, pretty gross analogy there. But I want to point that out, that this is a great myth-busting discussion on that self-hypnosis could actually create the result that is the opposite of what's going to serve you in your life.
Yeah. Although that being said, this is not a commercial plug to not use self-hypnosis. There are times where it's appropriate, like in the morning when I want to get up at 4 or 5 so that I can go make swim practice. And I will tell myself that, but this is before the morning actually comes, it'll be the night before. But I have a suggestion that when I wake up in the morning, it's going to be the best part of my life. And I have the smell of coffee programmed in to my brain.
Wow.
and the opening to American Dad, good morning, USA. And so
I love it.
That is, and that works. If you can get yourself to laugh a little bit and put in something a little humorous and fun into self-hypnosis to get yourself to wake up a little earlier, but now keep in mind, I also have the courage of my own convictions. So if you've never hypnotized yourself before and you're into, gosh, I'm not sure this is going to work. The gosh, I'm not sure this is going to work is going to go in. Now, I don't have that because I know it's going to work. So I have faith in the process. So I have a whole American Dad coffee thing going on every morning.
Hey, now our viewers out there know exactly why you have a pep in your step. American Dad, coffee smells. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I did not know that about you either. Very awesome. So probably when in Groundhog Day, Phil woke up every day to I've got you, babe. Like maybe the first couple times it was neutral, but then after he kept waking up and then he would hear that song, it put negative thoughts into his brain.
Perfectly said. That's so true.
I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
And now it's spring. Hey, the groundhog. He's powerful. Powerful being that groundhog.
Remember the morning where he woke up and he just started beating the crap out of the clock radio and he
Yes.
smashed it all to bits. Yeah.
Yes. You know, there was a theory on how long he was stuck in Groundhog Day.
How long
And
was it? Do you
some
remember?
people say 20 years. Some people say like 10 years. Other people say a lifetime, like 50 years. And there was an actual article where they scientifically broke down when he says it took me 6 months to flick the cards in the hat and all sorts of things, and then he's carving ice sculptures. They said, how long would it take to learn that? And pretty interesting stuff.
Except that he didn't actually age physically, and neither did anybody else. Of course they wouldn't have, because it was all just consecutive days to them, but yeah.
Yes, that's right. See?
But yeah, I guess if you're stuck in a time warp, you're not going to age either. So, oh, wow.
I don't know. I've never been stuck in a time warp, so I can't say one way or the other if that was accurate or not accurate.
Yeah.
Now,
speaking of time warps,
yes,
it feels like you're in a time warp when you're in hypnosis. The part of your brain that keeps track of time is different.
Oh, so this is a great segue. I actually had some questions around the feeling of hypnosis. And people think of like, again, we're myth busting. They think of like fog and, they're in like their mind. They're in the windmills of your mind. That Neil Diamond song. So is it like really? Well, I'm just saying, I'm asking the question because look, I've been there, done that. I know. I'm good with it, but this is what I'm hearing from people. They're like, what is it like? Do I feel weird? Do I feel sleepy? What's going on?
It's a blissful relaxation. That's pretty much across the board with everybody. The common denominator is that when it's time to get out of hypnosis, nobody wants to. In fact, I used to, when my mentor used to hypnotize me, she'd say, okay, it's time to come up and out of hypnosis. And she'd start to count me out. And I'd always go, no. And we would start laughing because it felt so good. And people aren't expecting that. That's a big surprise for everybody.
So when you say it feels so good,
yeah,
what does that look like? Like, explain through that a bit. What does it mean? Feel so good? Restful?
Very, very
joyous?
peaceful, restful. Though the way it feels to me is that magical moment when you're falling asleep in front of the TV, but you're still aware. But all of a sudden, your physical body just goes into this deep comfort. It's that.
Yeah, I've experienced that. I bet most of our viewers have experienced that too.
And then the mental part of it, with what we're imaging and what we're evoking and the topics that we're tweaking, when we're releasing and letting go of worrying, when someone has a visceral experience of that, the relief is profound. So it's not just a physical relaxation, it's, oh, thank God I'm not worrying anymore about that shit. So that can be so it's mentally and emotionally freeing. And I've gone into hypnosis back when I was getting hypnotized years ago by my mentor, very upset in whatever was going wrong in my relationship at the time, and walking out. And he wasn't any different, but I walked out being totally relieved, like everything's fine. Because as you all know, 99% of it's all in your head anyway. So when we get over that, oh my gosh. So it's physically, emotionally, mentally very, very comforting and comfortable.
Now, would someone be able to actually, as they're going through the process, that like they can physically presently feel that? Is that?
Yeah, that's the whole point of it. It's a present moment. We're not thinking about the future. This is all unfolding in real time. So in the imagination, we can be imaging a situation or a scenario, and it's unfolding in real time. So let's imagine it's someone's trauma from the past, for example. It's not happening now, but it happened when they were a kid. We as an adult can send help back to that child and rescue that child. And that not only feels good for us, but it feels damn good to that child. And guess where that child is in real time? Inside us. They're still in there.
Yeah, right.
They may be bigger and hairier, but they're still in there.
Yes. Yes, that is true. That is true. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So people don't have to be afraid that they're going to be in some kind of fog or, you know, all like weird. What about like remembering? Like, you know, some people are all worried, like, oh, what if I say something weird? Am I going to remember? Like, do they remember?
Oh, yeah.
Everything?
Well, okay. So the remembering, for one thing, that's two parts. And I'll address the saying something weird first. What I love about hypnosis is you have as much or as little privacy as you want. Like I said last time, the logical mind never goes away. So if you're in the midst of, even though you're in the midst of an experience, you're still very conscious you're in my office or you're on my Zoom camera in your own privacy. You know where you are. You're just experiencing an experience, but you're aware of it. And so if you don't want to spill your guts to me or verbalize something that is better not to be verbalized, in your opinion, you don't have to say it. And that's really helpful. Your logical mind will filter that out. Now, in terms of what you do and don't remember, studies have shown that people remember anywhere from 20% to 80% of what is said. And this is not about, it's not a right, wrong, good, or bad. The hypnosis is still just as effective. It's just that some of us place our experiences in our memory as a matter of habit. You know, like some people remember their dreams and some people don't remember their dreams. Mm-hmm. And some people remember their dreams a little bit and other people remember their dreams a lot. And the same is true. So depending on how your brain categorizes and files information, and I find that out before we even go into hypnosis, I'll have a pretty good idea of whether you're going to remember or not remember. I can record the session. And then if you're curious, because you've forgotten some of it, then you can listen to it multiple times.
No, that's good. I remember when I went through, I remembered everything. And it was, yeah. And I like that you pointed out again, right? The whole concept we talked about last week was we're not going to hypnotize. You don't hypnotize people and make them like you pull their puppet strings. They are in full control. You know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. I have to get, the reason my sessions are 90 minutes is because I need to get them on board and willing to go along with what I'm going to do before we do the hypnosis, or it won't work, because it has to be in alignment with their core beliefs and values. So if there's a transformational point that I'm feeling might be in their best interest, like I had someone come in who wanted me to really reinforce something in her life. And she wanted a tighter grip of control on a habit of hers. And I know this person, I've known this person for years. And I think that the grip of control is actually the problem. If she wasn't trying so hard to stop doing this thing, she probably wouldn't have the desire to do it. It's just that she's fighting herself. So I've got to explain that to her and see if she's willing to relinquish control for a change. Now, that takes some convincing on my part, but we need to do that while she's awake and alert. And at the end of the day, if she's like, you know, I'm just not down with that, I'm not willing to do that, then I'm not going to do that. If I tried to do something she wasn't on board with, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, those are good points. And I think watching these two videos, right, of debunking these myths, this really does serve people. I would think it would serve people in their life for healing and really addressing. And I loved you use the term Googling the subconscious.
Yeah.
because people are putting stuff into the subconscious, and you're working to pull that out. Googling the self-conscious. I like
and
that.
that's for the things that, you know, we all know what's wrong with us to a certain point, but how come if we have all that knowledge, how come it isn't changing? And that's usually because there's part of us that's so subconscious that we don't even know what it is we don't know.
Mhm.
And that's where hypnosis there's ways of finding that out. I put people in certain situations, not every situation, not with every client, put them into hypnosis and ask them questions. Put them in hypnosis and take them through an imagery journey where we find out more information about something. And there is never once, and I can't remember one time in the years I've been doing this, where we didn't find out. And it's always been such a huge relief. And then, because like Einstein said, it's ridiculous to think that you're going to find a solution to the problem using the same thinking that created the problem in the first place.
True. And hey, you know what? This is part of it. We want people to understand what you're up to, what you do, how you support people. So by showing the stuff, that the content that's in our society around hypnosis, and by myth busting it, I believe people will be able to see this with a clear lens. Now, definitely the last 2 episodes of what we've been doing are going to really support people. And then, the next episode we have coming up is really going to talk about what you do and the magic that you create for people. I'm going to call it magic, but you are kind of a magician. I like it in a great way, because you kind of know what to say. You feel the energy, you flow with it. So for the last few minutes of this episode, let's give people a sneak peek of next episode when we talk about what happens and how this work will serve people in their lives and career, relationships, family, whatever.
Magical is a great word for it. And to remain grounded in the question rather than in what happens, the miracles are so profound that I have been privileged to witness. It's impossible to really pinpoint what the heck happened. Yes, I'm passionate about this. Yes, I'm an energy healer. I'm an ordained minister. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a certified hypnotherapist from a very good school. I've gone NLP trained by Richard Bandler in London, and I've done God knows how many trainings. It's just like a passion. So I have a vast array of tools, but there's something else. It's not about that. There's something that happens when I have someone that I'm focusing on, and it's the depth of my commitment and desire to help that person. There's something that opens up. It's something about the connection between us that can't really be defined. And most of the time, I throw out about 80% of what I was intending to do with the person, and I just start hearing ideas, and I just start saying what I hear. And I can watch them, and I can see emotions wash through them. And I have a sense of what they need. I don't know how that is. We can speculate a lot. But I think the more we try to define it, the more we dilute it. It's best just to leave it alone and allow it to be there, but it's positive and it feels immense. I can't tell you the number of times somebody's walked out of my office feeling better, and I'll just sit there and cry for 15 or 20 minutes just in gratitude. And it's gratitude for whatever helped me do that. Okay, it's bigger than, it's much bigger than I am. And the hypnotic state is an opening to where that person is then open to receive whatever that is. And they don't even know anything about that. They just know they had a really great experience and it was profound and there was a tremendous shift. And suddenly, you know, they may be able to, they're open to relationships again and they go off and meet the love of their life and live happily ever after. Or they finally have the courage to set some boundaries with an abusive family member, or they finally have the guts to go after a dream that they haven't been able to go after before. And it, you know, they thank me, it's not me. Of course, my ego loves that shit. I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. But I know better. There's more there. There's much more there.
Hey, I'm going to say this and I'll say it and I'll say it again and I'll scream it from the mountaintops. You're the best. I love what you stand for. When I talk, I coach on integrity, front of house, back of house. You have that. What everybody sees right here, that's how you operate behind closed doors. So love it. And what you're talking about,
except for when I'm not caffeinated enough, then the whole thing is off. We don't want to touch that.
Okay, well, we won't go there. We won't go there. But I will say this: science and art. When you were talking through what you do, it's part science and part art. You are like, you have all these degrees in yoga and Reiki, meditation, all that. Awesome. But then the artistic part is to go with the flow. How do you get from point A to point B? How do you really extract? And in my experience, you're very gifted in that. And
Thanks.
over the next episode, we're going to get into, I would say, you know, the mechanics, but also what somebody will expect when they come and see you. And really, you know, questions I have, people ask me, well, like, what can she help with? Can she help with, I have a family issue, or I have this, or I have a past life regression that I want to know about, or you know, lots of different things. So we're going to talk through all that next week. This was a very, very good episode. Thank you for myth busting those two big ones that I told you I get a lot of questions about. So I see we have some people watching right now. If you have questions, we're going to end this right now, but if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or send them directly to Ms. Janna, your friendly hypnotherapist, when she's caffeinated. And I love that, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to get sponsorship for you, and it's going to be some kind of, you know, maybe you could start like a energy drink, a hypnosis energy drink, right?
There you go.
Started in the morning with, you know, Family Guy and coffee.
Yeah.
Or American Dad. No, what was
American Dad? That's how
American Dad and coffee. Yes.
That's
yes.
it.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you out there for tuning in and watching. We'll be back here again, 5 o'clock Pacific time for another episode of HypnoTalk.
Yeah. And you can catch the replay.
Absolutely. Sounds good. All right.